Well, there you have it. I think we're good. I think we're live. I think we got it working. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Let's go ahead and pop out chat so I can keep an eye on that, and I'll move that right down there. Just leave that like that. Hey, Vaxxer, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're having a good day, bud. What's new, man? I know I haven't done a live show since Monday. It's been a while. I've been really busy. Solo single track. You had a day off today. Nice. That's awesome. Congrats, dude. So that means you got your dailies done early, right? Or did you have to wait for the server to reset or something? All right, let's go ahead and share this out. And did I have this working? I do. There we go. Nice. Switchcraft. Excellent. We're going to go into announcements. Add everyone. There we go. Publish. All right. Hey, Fisto, how's it going? Oh, there's a cat in a box. Hey, Phoenix, how you doing? Happy to see you guys here for the mailbag. Always happy when I hit go live and there are people there instantaneously. It just kind of makes my day, you know. Speaking of making my day, if you guys could hit the thumbs up button and all that stuff, that would be really cool. Let's see. Talking about video games. Come join us. Come join up. Come join us, yeah. Live. Right now. You're not there yet? And we'll hit tweet. Jonathan, what is Mailbag exactly? So, I mean, obviously I'll explain it again once I start the show, but throughout the week, I ask people questions about video games, and people give me their answers on Twitter, and then I kind of respond to their responses, if that makes any sense, Jonathan. So if you would like to be part of the show, then take a look at this right here. There's our show notes right there, and if you scroll down to the mailbag section, you're going to see a bunch of tweets from me, and you can respond to those tweets, and I may or may not include what you say in the let me turn that down. I may or may not include what you have to say in the show. So that's what Mailbag is. And it happens on Fridays. It just didn't happen last Friday for reasons that I can't remember now. Yeah, of course. Okay. Well, I think that we're about ready to get started. So, actually, before I get started, does anybody here have any video game stories, mostly Nintendo stories, that you want me to make sure that I cover today? So far, I have something about Ninjala and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. If I can't remember, then it wasn't important. Well, no, I forget a lot of important stuff. That's why I write most things that are super important down. Like earlier today, we had, my wife had an interview which is why my camera's a little off, because we rearranged my camera. She had an interview for a job up here, and so that's why my camera's a little wonky. Still trying to make sure I get it right. But while she was doing that, we also had a repairman here to look at our refrigerator, which is having like some kind of ice buildup thing. And so, you know, I took notes so that I could tell my wife what they said. How did it go? I think it went okay. She seems to be in a pretty good mood, and she seemed more relaxed. Of course, everybody, you know, she's sitting in this room because this is the room that has the best, you know, the best camera, the best microphone. And of course, people see this and they're like, where are you? You know what I mean? So people, it's surprising the number of times that people have been like, like, because I have to do a lot of virtual meetings as a teacher, and a lot of times people are like, why does it look like you're in a studio? And I'm like, well, because I am. What I would really like to do, excuse me, I would like to get rid of this microphone. I love this microphone. It's a fantastic microphone, but I would like, oh my God, I would like to get a microphone that is off camera, so you can't see it when I'm doing things. And so I would put it like, actually I would put it like right there, so it would be just right there, pointed down at me, and just out of frame, so that you didn't see this microphone, because it's stupid looking. I hate the way this microphone looks. So I would like to be able to get rid of this microphone, but I spent a lot of money on this microphone, and so getting rid of it is kind of crazy. Hello there, David. Hello there. I'll just call you M10. What's going on? Hope everybody's having a great day. All right, so we're going to talk about, but it wouldn't be invisible. Well, what it? No, I'm not doing that. That would mess with, I just want to get a microphone that would be right there, which honestly, that is like 2 hands away from my face. It's not a stupid question, Wolock. I've tried that. So I'm going to show you real quick. Like when I'm talking to this microphone, the amount of space between my mouth and my microphone is about that much. That's how much space there is. If I move the microphone even this far away, like a hand away, you can see how hard it is to hear what I'm saying. And if I put the microphone just out of frame like that, I'm guessing that you can't hear anything that I'm saying. So I gotta have the microphone pretty close. But that's just one of the things about a broadcast microphone. Right, and the advantage to that is that you, like, if I talk over here, like, you can't hear anything. So it has a lot of really good noise rejection. So I can have a fan on and my computer's running and my chair is squeaky and you guys can't hear any of that. Hey, Ted, how's it going, buddy? All right. Well, I think that now is the time for us to start the actual show. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a stream marker, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to leave the music on. You guys won't be able to hear it, or you guys will be able to hear the music, but they won't be able to hear the music on the actual podcast. So let's get going. Hey everybody, it is episode 571. It's Friday, and you guys know what that means. That means it's time for the mailbag. On the mailbag, we're going to talk about, of course, in addition to the mailbag is what I mean, we're going to talk about Eternal Castle, which is a game that I've been playing for a couple of weeks now. We're going to talk about Phenotopia, which I already talked a little bit about that game. Of course, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is on its way, and we've got some new news about that. And we've got Ninjala, and of course, your comments with the mailbag. So before we get started with all of that stuff, I wanted to let everybody know that we record the podcast every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can follow me on Twitch or YouTube. The Friday episodes are on YouTube. The other days are on Twitch. And if you want links to all of those things, just head on over to runjumpstomp.com. Let's get started with the show, though. Let's start with Eternal Castle. So Eternal Castle is, man, when I saw this, I was kind of blown away by the art style. If you kind of go back, it's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and we were talking about the really, really old Cga graphics from when I was a kid. So if you were not into PC games back in the 80s, there was something called Cga, which I don't remember what they stood for, but that was 4 colors. So the games that you could play on a Cga graphics card had 4 colors in them. And then EGA doubled that to 8 colors. Right. So, or actually, I think it was 16 colors at that point. So EGA, extended graphics adapter, that brought it up to 16 colors, I think. And this is all from memory. And then, oh my God, the Holy Grail, VGA. And I know a lot of people have heard of VGA. VGA was like 256 colors, which at that time, we were just blown away at what you could do. But there was something about that Cga, that 4-color palette that they had back in the day that really impressed me with what they could do with just those 4 colors. And Eternal Castle is a game that is kind of doing that. They went for that 4-color palette of like a teal and a pink and black and God, it's almost, and white, and it's really just 4 colors that you get to see. And they limited themselves to a very, very restrictive color palette, and it's really awesome, really cool the way it looks. The amount of detail that they are able to put in a game when they have restricted themselves so much is very impressive. So, what kind of game is Eternal Castle? Well, the best way that I would personally describe that game would be, it's kind of like Prince of Persia, and I'm talking about the old Prince of Persia, like way back in the day. So like Prince of Persia or Out of This World, where they've rotoscoped everything in the game. So as the character is moving, basically what they did is they filmed a person running, and then they traced it essentially in order to get the frames of animation to make the character look like they're moving fluidly. This is something that they did way back in the day with Prince of Persia and with games like that and Out of This World. And this is a game that combines the 4-color aspect of Cga graphics with the gameplay that really didn't come along, the gameplay and animation style, which really didn't come along until much later. Well, I don't want to say much later, but later in any way. So Eternal Castle, I'm still fairly early in the game, but I had a lot of fun playing that game. It's very, very impressive. And it is now out on Nintendo Switch. If you want to know more about it and you're listening to the podcast, go to my YouTube channel, which you can find a link by going to runjumpstomp.com. And you can then click on the show notes. This is episode 571. And then you can watch and see what the game is like. It's really really fun, and there's some fun moments in my first look video where I get killed unexpectedly and laugh a lot. All right, let's move on and talk about another game real quick. And this one I've already talked about on the show because they were a little more lax with the embargo on what I was allowed to say because the game wasn't out yet. And that's Phenotopia. Phenotopia Awakening is basically it's inspired heavily by 2D Zelda games, or 2D Zelda games. By Zelda 2 is really what I mean, in the fact that you are let's say that you're moving around in the overworld, okay, and then once you're in the overworld, there's like all of these little monsters that can attack you. And if they attack you, if they come up to you and bump into your character, then you will be teleported to a two-dimensional mode where you can either go left or you can go right in order to exit that little area. And while you're in there, you can fight the monsters that are there in order to get coins, which then you use later on in the game in order to make your character more powerful, if that makes sense. This game, from what I understand, it's a port of an old Flash game, but don't hold that against it because I've been having a lot of fun with this game. It's pretty tough. Like there's no map, and I'm currently like in this temple, and I'm having trouble finding my way out of the temple or to the boss of the temple, or I'm kind of lost. But I'm having a lot of fun, and I really do like Phenotopia. So if you're a fan of Zelda 2, which I think not many people are, I think that if you are a fan of this, then it's definitely a game that you want to check out, because it's very, very well made. It's got a cool animation style. It's just about everything about this game is very impressive to me. So I think a lot of people are going to be put off by the idea that this game, is based on or is a port of an old Flash game. And I hope that people won't hold that against it. If you're curious, go watch my first looks. You can find out more about it. The game is really cool, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. That being said, I still have yet to get to a single boss because I'm lost in this dungeon. I can't quite figure out where I'm supposed to go. Oh, one thing that I do want to mention that I thought was really cool is as I was, picking up items and stuff, you have like an inventory, and you can assign special, like different weapons. Like I got the slingshot, and I can assign that to a certain button. You also pick up food and things, and then there's even like a little cooking mini game. So you can go in the game, head to like a campfire, and if you strike like flint in front of a campfire, it lights the campfire, and then you go to cook stuff, and it brings up this little cooking mini game, which I always like when they do stuff like this. Basically, you've got a dot that moves back and forth across a bar, and as it moves back and forth, you want to hit the button in the middle, but the button keeps changing. I was really struggling with this because I play on PlayStation, I play on Stadia, I play on my Xbox controller, I play on my Nintendo Switch, and the buttons are all in different places on all of those. So every time it was like press X or A or B or Y or whatever, I'd always be like, okay, I got to look down and then press the button. I just could not get good at this. But that's okay because it still felt pretty forgiving. Anyway, those are two games that I've been playing on my Nintendo Switch, and I think that they're really, really fantastic. And you're going, well, I'm early on, so what I've played so far is really, really fantastic. I think that if you give them a chance, you will be duly impressed.
Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system?
There we go. We got the first segment done. Inigo has seen me in real life. Did you see me at Dragon Con? Like, were you one of the people that came up and said, "Hey, I like your show" when I was speaking at Dragon Con? TF Wagner, well, since camping in the backup got canceled next week because of the fires. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, that's true. It could be some other guy who's bald and has a beard, because we do all kind of look the same. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and they say, "Oh, you just look just like this person." And I say, "Well, I don't know who they are, but are they bald with a beard?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, we all look the same." Let me hit save. Yes, save. Oh, this is 572. I guess I didn't do show notes for 571. All right. I've got two quick news stories that I want to get to before we start no, let's start that over. All right, we've got two quick news stories that I want to get to before we start the mailbag portion of the show. So let's get started with Ninjala. Ninjala, I guess, has had a problem where users will join the matchup lobby and then immediately quit, and that kind of ruins the game for anybody else. So first off, if you're one of those people, knock it off. You're being a jerk. But secondly, the Ninjala team has posted something about this. So let's talk about this real quick. Here's what they had to say. We promise to do everything in our power to address the underlying issue. Basically, there are some people who are doing this because they're mad about something, and so that's how they're voicing their displeasure, which is not the right way to go. But they said, we're going to try and fix the underlying issue, of course. Then they said, at the same time, the act of intentionally and repeatedly exiting the matching lobby and canceling matching is one that greatly inconveniences other players, and we therefore ask that players not engage in this behavior. Furthermore, we are aware that the Ninjala team is consistently monitoring. Be aware that let me punch and roll that real quick. Players, and we therefore ask that players not engage in this behavior. Furthermore, be aware that the Ninjala team is consistently monitoring player reports and logs. If any such actions are deemed to be malicious, we reserve the right to institute matching bans or suspend accounts in accordance with the Ninjala team's terms of service. Look, I get that there are people who are unhappy about whatever the underlying issue is, which I don't know what it is because I don't really play that game. I played it a little bit just to find out what it was like, and I decided pretty quickly this is not for me. But don't be that person that is ruining everybody else's fun because you're mad about something. That's just not fun for anybody. Secondly, I want to say good on the Ninjala team for saying we're going to ban you if you continue to ruin other people's gameplay, because as a dad and a guy who has a job, and I've got a lot of things to do, when I sit down to play a game, I don't like having that time wasted. And when you are somebody who are super busy, and maybe I wanted to sit down and play Ninjala, and then suddenly, like every time I connect, people just keep disconnecting. It's wasting my time, and it's not really hurting anybody except for other players. So I think that's a really bad way to go about it. So hopefully anybody listen. You know what? I'm not really worried about anybody who listens to this show. I have like the best audience, so you guys wouldn't do that. Moving on, one of the games that I'm most excited about for that's coming out in, today's the 21st, so I think in a week, I think it comes out next Friday, is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition. And we're getting some bonus stuff with this game, which I didn't even, even if I didn't get any bonus stuff, I'd still be excited for this game. Because I didn't really feel like I got to experience the game the way it was supposed to be experienced back when it came out on the GameCube. Now, for those of you who have not played it, I'm going to go real fast through this. It's a game that required you, if you wanted to really experience the game, to have a GameCube, a copy of the game, 4 Game Boy Advances, and 4 Game Boy Advance link cables, and 4 friends who, to play with. And that was kind of a high bar to ask, not so much the friends part, but GBAs and link cables, that's a problem. So I only ever got to play this with one other person because only one of my friends had a GBA in addition to me. And we played this game and it was really, really cool, but we never really got to experience the whole game. And that's because it was designed around this. Now, when it comes to Nintendo Switch, it has online matchmaking, so you're going to be able to play with other people over the internet, and that means you're going to be able to explore everything that we didn't get to the first time around, which I'm very excited for. But in addition to everything that we didn't get the first time around, or everything that I didn't get to the first time around, there's also going to be 13 post-game dungeons. So after you finish the game, there's also going to be 13 more dungeons for you to go into, which is really cool and exciting. And I love it when game companies do things like this. I hope that what Square Enix ends up doing with Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, I hope that they just continue to add dungeons to the game that, myself and my friends can log in, we can play together, we can go through, do a couple of dungeons, and log off. And then, the next month, they even if it's paid DLC, $5 for another 5 dungeons or something like that, that would be really fantastic. And I think it would extend the life of this game for a really long period of time. Because, this kind of game, I feel like, is going to be very flash in the pan. If you're not playing it when it first comes out, then it's one of those games that is going to end up falling off in popularity because people will get what they want out of it and move on. But if Square keeps bringing back more and more content to it, then I think that people are going to keep playing it for a much longer period of time. And I think that that is a really, really good thing. I'm excited for this game. I can't wait for it to come to Nintendo Switch.
Sega. Hot hits today, hot hits on the way. Plug into today's hottest arcade hit.
There we go. Oh no, what did I do? Okay, well, I had it on the wrong thing. I mean, it recorded, but it recorded in a weird way, so I'm going to have to fix something after the fact. But that's okay. Let me put another marker in there. All right. Ooh, shoot. What did I just click? Okay, here we go. Okay, everybody, it's time for the mailbag. Throughout the week, I ask you questions on Twitter. You respond, and we talk about it. Before we actually get to one of my questions, I will say friend of the show, Tony P. Henderson, who's got an awesome podcast called Tony P. Oddcast. Make sure you check out his show. He tweeted to me, and I haven't actually watched this yet. I'm going to get around to it as soon as I am able, but he tweeted to me that there is now a Netflix video game documentary series called High Score, and here's what Nintendo Wire says about it. It brings solid doses of nostalgia and history to fans. You can read our thoughts about the series ahead of its August 19th release. So it is out now. Tony P tweeted this to me to bring it to my attention. I had no idea about it, so I am looking forward to watching this. I have read a few books about video game history and stuff like that, and I always find this stuff to be incredibly captivating and interesting. Like Console Wars is a wonderful book that you absolutely should read. I also read the Secret Life of Mario, or something like that. It was basically how Nintendo came to the US and saved the gaming industry from itself. I really like that book. But let's talk about the mailbag, the things that that you guys think. And if you've watched High Score, let me know what you think about it. But let's get to the mailbag questions that I posted. So this one, not a huge surprise, how one-sided it is. However, let me explain. So Super Mario Sunshine, for the most part, I think most people would say that is the worst of all of the 3D Mario games. Now, I don't know that it's even saying it's the worst 3D Mario game is still saying it can still be a pretty fantastic game, if that makes sense. So I don't know if it is the worst, but I had a lot of fun playing it when I had it on my GameCube. And there's been rumors that Super Mario Sunshine would be coming to the Nintendo Switch. And I was just curious what people thought. Would they want a sequel to Super Mario Sunshine, even though that particular game performed fairly poorly? And a lot of people would say it was kind of rushed and didn't hold up to the normal standards of most 3D Mario games. 83, if you're rounding, 83% of people who responded said yes. They said, hell yes, they want a Super Mario Sunshine sequel. You know, bring back Flood and Mario. And I think that's very interesting. The game that most people are kind of cast derision upon. They want another one. I think that's very interesting to me. So just looking at a couple of the answers, Adamantium says, I'm torn. I was never a fan of the Flood gimmick. And if you've never played Super Mario Sunshine, it is this backpack. And basically, if Mario goes into water, he can refill the backpack, and then he can use the backpack in order to fly around like a water jetpack, if that makes sense, which is really cool. But anyway, Adamantium says, I'm torn. I was never a fan of the Flood gimmick, but the levels and gameplay were really good. So I'd enjoy a new Mario game in that style, but maybe with a few improved tweaks. I can certainly see why some people would be against the Flood stuff. I will say that in Super Mario Sunshine, there were lots of levels where they took away Flood. And so you had to do things in the traditional Mario fashion. So keep that in mind as well. I also sent out a question this week, and this one is a lot less one-sided. So there's rumors that, and I'm sure that if you listen to this show, you probably already know that there's rumors that Skyward Sword might be coming to Nintendo Switch. And the basis of those rumors is because it showed up, Skyward Sword, for Nintendo Switch on Amazon UK, I think it was. Well, I asked if Skyward Sword came to the Nintendo Switch but didn't support handheld mode, would that be a deal breaker for you? Now, if you didn't play Skyward Sword, it was the one that came out on the Wii. And when you played it on the Wii, you would do like a vertical attack by moving the Wii remote in a downward motion, or a horizontal attack by moving it in a sideways motion. And I think there were even diagonal attacks. I can't remember because it was so long ago. But that meant the game was designed around motion controls. And if they brought it to Nintendo Switch, obviously there's a possibility that motion controls would work, because we have the Joy-Cons, and the Joy-Cons have the gyroscopes in it. And if anything, I think Nintendo has gotten better at motion controls over the years. So it might be like the best way to play it. However, there are a lot of people out there who only play their Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. And if you are somebody who only has a Nintendo Switch Lite, you can only play in handheld mode. You really don't have any option, for the most part, to do motion controls. So for this game, which was designed around motion controls, does it make sense to port it to a system that may or may not give people the option to use motion controls to play the game? And so I asked that, and 46% of people who responded said yes, and 53% of people who responded said no. So that's really, really close. I think that's obviously within the margin of error. Let's see what people had to say about this. Matt Squatch says, it would be disappointing since I play 90% handheld, but I'd still buy it anyway because it's Zelda. Brad Farrell says, I rarely play in handheld. I'm such a sucker for playing on my TV, and it's the same with Stadia. Gavin Butcher says, one of my favorite Zelda games. I would love to play it on the Switch. Anna Foster says, nope, I mainly play on my television anyway. Let's see. One more. Sean says, the majority of my gaming is in neither handheld nor docked mode, but in tabletop mode with detached Joy-Cons. While I assume that tabletop play is supported as long as its docked play is supported, I am opposed on principle to the idea of Switch games that don't support handheld play. And I'm trying to imagine for a second in tabletop mode, like usually when I play a game in tabletop mode, I set the Switch down on the table in front of me, I take the Joy-Cons off, and I'm sitting really, really close enough that doing motion control stuff like they did in Skyward Sword, I would be likely to hit the table with my hands. So I think that I don't think that it would work really well in tabletop mode. And if you got far enough away to do the motion controls, it'd be hard to see the screen because the screen is only 7 inches or something like that. So I don't think it would make a lot of sense to play that game in tabletop mode. And I'm kind of with Sean here. I don't like the idea of games that only have motion controls and don't have handheld play, but we do have games like that, games like 1-2 Switch, but those aren't Zelda games. Zelda games are supposed to be something on their own, and I think that would be a huge mistake. So if I were voting in this poll, I would have voted, yeah, that would be a deal breaker for me. Don't get it. And actually, I'm looking at the poll right now, and I think I misspoke. Yes, 46%, that would be a deal breaker for them. 53%, that would not be a deal breaker for them. I think I was conflating what my yeses and nos meant on this particular question.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
There we go. Hey, Reckless. How's it going, man? Welcome. All right. Where are we on time? We're at 25 minutes. I've got time for one more story. I know you hate that Mario guy, Vaxxer. Well, it's part of my childhood, so you'll have to get over it. All right. Here we go. We've got one more topic that I wanted to talk about. Pikmin 3 Deluxe was announced recently by Nintendo, and I asked people, do you think that Nintendo has justified the $60 price tag on Pikmin 3 Deluxe? Also, what do you think about the removal of Pikmin 3 from the Wii U eShop? So, just to catch everybody up, Pikmin 3 was a Wii U game. It is now being brought to the Nintendo Switch as a deluxe version with multiplayer. So now it has couch co-op essentially, which is really, really cool. But the game is coming out with a $60 price tag. Now, just to remind everybody, I believe that the original Pikmin 3 only sold roughly 200,000 units. And the reason for that is because the Wii U was so poorly adopted that there were an incredibly small number of people to actually buy that game. And I could be wrong, but I believe that it also came out kind of mid to late in the life cycle of the Wii U, and a lot of people had already moved on because there were so few games to play on it. So Pikmin 3 Deluxe didn't do too well on the Wii U. But Pikmin 3 Deluxe is widely regarded as a very, very good game. So they brought it to, or they're bringing it to the Nintendo Switch, $60 price tag. And then they also remove it from the Wii U eShop, so you can't go and buy it on the Wii U eShop. And I said, well, what do you guys think about this? This is a little more of a one-sided. 2/3 of people basically said, no, $60 is too much. They didn't justify the price. And about 1/3 of people said, well, $60 is okay. Let's see what people give as reasons. So Webhead says, Pikmin doesn't interest me. I said yes, because I see your point. And he's replying to my point being, so my point on this was, if it's a game that's new to me, then I don't really, like, it doesn't matter if it's an old game. I think that paying the game price, if the game is worth $60 when it came out, then it's probably worth $60 today, if I've never played it. If I've played it, however, then I don't want to spend the same amount on it. But guess what? I also have the option to not buy it. So I think that's what Webhead is referring to. He then says, but unless you're obsessively have to buy a game, you can always just wait for a sale. Case in point, Walmart will put first-party Nintendo games on sale often enough, plus they already start at $10 less. That's a pretty good point. J Harley 17, who's a community member I see all the time, they said, never played the game, and according to all-time sales, not many have. $60 is fine. So I guess, Jay Harley, here's my next question. What if lots of people had played it, but you hadn't? Would you still be okay with $60 as a price point? Bug Hunt Man says people have had 7 years to buy the game on the Wii U, if they wanted to. Not to mention the game is still available to find physically secondhand. I consider this a moot point anyway, because Nintendo will probably discontinue the Wii U eShop entirely in the next 2 years. I wonder, well, I don't think it'll be that soon. I think that the Wii eShop shut down last year in 2019. So I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case. But you make a good point. If people were going to pick up this game for the Wii U, they probably would have already bought it. You know what I mean? TF Wagner in our live chat here on YouTube says $20 on the Wii U is more of a possibility than $60 on the Switch. So basically he's saying I'm much more likely to buy it on the Wii U than I would on the Switch just because of the price difference. However, TF Wagner, here's my question for you. If you were going to buy it on the Wii U, don't you think you already would have? Because that game's been out for years and years and years. All right, we'll do one more reply. This one comes from the gamer to the right. They said, I'm fine with $60. The game isn't for me, but pretty much all first-party Nintendo is full price and rarely on sale. Never on a good sale, anyway. Removing it from the Wii U eShop is kind of shady, though. I'm not sure I like that. Not that many people had one or would likely buy it there now. And that's a fair point as well. TF Wagner replied, he says, I have the time to play a game right now. I'm assuming he means that he didn't have the time to play the game back then. And that's also another good point. There's a lot of different sides that you can take with this. So thank you to everybody who replied to all of my questions throughout the week, actually 2 weeks, because I didn't do a show last week because it was my anniversary. All right, let's get out of here. Listen, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, if you want to check out my Twitch channel, if you want to check out my Twitter, if you want to check out our community Discord, which you absolutely should, do us all a favor and head to runjumpstomp.com. You can find all the links there. The music on today's show is by Noteblock. They make so much fantastic music. Make sure that you check out their stuff, and big thank you to them for letting me use their music. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.